Why are two of the most important countries in the Americas clashing over tariffs and deportations? Recently, Colombia's bold move to impose a 25% tariff on US goods in response to Trump's restrictions has sparked a high-stakes trade war, with both countries digging in their heels. This has led to a complex web of retaliatory measures, trade disruptions, and diplomatic challenges, with significant economic impacts. Could this conflict bring a solution to the clash instigated by the Trump administration? The conflict between Colombia and the US began with a diplomatic row over deportation flights. Colombian President Gustavo Petro refused to accept US military planes carrying deported migrants. In retaliation, the US imposed sanctions and trade restrictions, including a significant 25% tariff on Colombian goods, escalating the situation into an economic showdown. At the root of the issue was a political dispute over deportation flights. The Trump administration had aggressively enforced immigration policies, including deporting undocumented migrants. As part of this effort, the US requested Colombia to accept military planes carrying deported individuals. While this might have been a straightforward decision for other nations, it was a contentious issue for Colombia. President Gustavo Petro, who took office in 2022, viewed the treatment of migrants as a moral issue. He argued that migrants should be treated humanely, not as criminals. Rejecting the US planes, Petro expressed concerns about the inhumane treatment of migrants under US policies and Colombia's role in facilitating such actions. This decision reflected Colombia's ongoing struggle with migration and human rights and aligned with Petro's platform of social justice and progressive values. For the Trump administration, however, Petro's actions were seen as a challenge to US sovereignty and efforts to manage illegal immigration. The US government perceived Colombia's refusal as a breakdown in diplomatic relations and a prioritization of political stances over the interests of an ally. In response, the Trump administration imposed economic sanctions and a 25% tariff on Colombian goods, marking a shift in their economic relationship. The US and Colombia have long maintained a strong trade partnership, with the US as Colombia's largest trade partner. This relationship has relied on exports of Colombian goods like crude oil, coffee, and fresh-cut flowers, all critical to Colombia's economy. However, the tariffs disrupted this partnership, significantly altering trade flows between the two. Nations.Colombia immediately felt the impact of the tariffs in key industries reliant on the US market. For example, Colombia is the world's largest exporter of fresh-cut flowers, with the US as its primary market, importing 80% of Colombia's flowers. The tariffs made Colombian flowers more expensive for US consumers, reducing demand and threatening the livelihoods of thousands of flower farmers. Similarly, Colombia's oil industry, a significant supplier of crude oil to the US, and its coffee export sector faced challenges. The tariffs created hurdles for industries central to Colombia's economy, turning their trade relationship into a battleground. Uncertainty in this trade relationship left coffee farmers, who rely on export revenues to support their families and communities, in a precarious position. The US market, once their most dependable customer, had become more expensive and less accessible. For the US, these tariffs also carried risks. While American businesses were less affected by tariff increases compared to Colombian industries, there were still significant consequences. The US had grown accustomed to Colombian goods as an affordable source of raw materials and agricultural products. The increased cost of imports could lead to higher prices for businesses, driving inflation and increasing consumer costs. The overall economic impact of these tariffs on both countries highlighted how deeply interconnected their economies are. Shortly after, Colombia imposed a 25% tariff with the potential of raising it to 50%. However, following this decision, the US moved quickly to resolve the issue, regardless of the cost. After numerous rounds of negotiation, the matter was settled, and the clash seemed to come to an end. Colombia agreed to resume accepting US deportation flights, including those carried out by military planes. However, this deal came with important conditions. Colombia demanded that the US adopt more humane deportation practices, such as improved treatment of migrants and assurances that deportations would comply with international human rights standards. In return, the US agreed to suspend additional tariffs and penalties, providing temporary relief to Colombia's struggling industries. The 25% tariff was lifted, and the flow of Colombian goods into the US resumed. While this deal was seen as a victory for the US in securing Colombia's cooperation, it was also a diplomatic win for Colombia. It allowed them to stand firm on human rights issues while preventing further damage to their economy. However, the agreement was far from perfect. The ideological divide between the two countries remained, and underlying issues, such as the treatment of migrants and the role of the US in foreign immigration policies, were not fully addressed. While both sides avoided further escalation, the potential for future conflicts remained. The resolution of the trade dispute between Colombia and the US offered temporary relief, but did little to address the deeper tensions shaping their relationship for years. Colombia's stance on human rights and immigration will likely continue to clash with US policies, and the 25% tariff served as a reminder of how quickly these tensions can escalate. Looking ahead, the future of US-Colombia relations depends on how both nations handle their differences in the coming years. If the Trump administration adopts a more compassionate approach to immigration, it could ease tensions with Colombia. However, if the US continues to take a hardline stance, Colombia may remain steadfast in its opposition, potentially leading to further diplomatic confrontations. In the long term, Colombia's approach to its relationship with the US could also evolve. While the current government under President Pro has taken a strong stance on protecting migrant rights, future administrations may prioritize economic recovery over human rights concerns. Do you think the issue is resolved now? Does Trump need to change his strategy? Let us know in the comments section. Will he adjust his plans or force others to do so? If you want to watch more videos like this one, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated. We've decided to create videos on topics few discuss, such as African politics, the economy, and its growing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, like and share this video, and subscribe so you don't miss our African-focused content. It's the best way to support us.